Not even a countdown. Just right into it.
Absolutely. It's the way we roll.
Normally we do a countdown, but I got a 6 for my recap.
I don't count the down.
Oh, we doing recap?
Oh, I didn't
I did a 10.
Oh my goodness, no. Oh no.
Yep. 7.
Here, red die. Nat 20.
Yeah. Oh, I feel bad now. I literally was like, come on, Max, so nat 20 it, and then you did, and now I feel bad.
I mean, it's good. It's good. It means this dice is behaving tonight for the first time in, like, months.
Or it was the only one it had in it, and it's spent.
Yep.
My other dice. I'm checking my other dice, and I rolled 2 2s and a 4. We all had gathered at our headquarters for just a meeting, and who was it that told us about the dragons?
Just a higher up, no one specific, because we kind of just jumped into it.
Okay. We were told about a group of dragons that were attacking villages around a mountain range, and they were also terraforming and just changing the landscape, so we had to go stop them for smoke. And we kind of got our asses handed to us by 3 young gold dragons.
Speak for yourself.
Well, when you say it like that, that's just embarrassing.
I was fine.
I came out less scathed than you guys.
Not me.
But, yeah, and we also found out that they apparently are, they made a pact with some sort of evil deity from beyond, and it is very bad that they are this close to home. So we basically told them, take a hike, and they were like, cool, I guess. And then we went home and each did our own little thing. And I have a seal with the symbol that they had.
You sure do.
Yeah.
So what you have is kind of like a clay version of like what would be used to emboss the symbol you saw. So like a negative.
Yeah.
So as we pick up this session, you are all in your respective areas in the morning, wherever you dwell at night. You have been asked to join. Yes. You've been asked to join Zalis in his office so that he can discuss some information he found. As we see your characters for the first time, do describe them for those who do not know what you look like. We will start with Smoke. And Zolan, go ahead and take inspiration for your recap.
Hey.
Okay, Smoke is about 4.5 feet tall. He is a tabaxi, smoky colored grays and black tabby stripes. He is very, very fluffy. if he were to get wet, he would be super, super skinny, but you wouldn't be able to. He looks heavy set with all the fluff he's got going on. He wears traditional monk garb in blacks and grays. He has an aura around him that, like, when he walks through town, people like have a nervous laughter because he's kind of scary, but they don't know why. And like in the morning, he's just in his little treehouse, taking care of his little plants, talking to them, having like some morning coffee, even though he doesn't require sustenance. He doesn't require food or drink to like live. He's just sort of chilling and like waiting till the very last possible moment until he has to go see the rest of the group. And he's got maps all on all of his walls that he made himself, and one's kind of like not right, so he goes and he just straightens it up a little bit. He's like, all right, that's better. I guess I must go see these idiots, and sort of walks out the door towards the rest of the group.
So, in the Shadowfell, Zolan hasn't returned from home yet. They are currently eating breakfast with their werewolf husband, Forrest. Zolan is a very pale humanoid with like elvish kind of features, with a long dark braid with some gray streaks in there, pink eyes, and they're not super buff, but they do have some strength. And the most noticeable thing about them is they have an elaborate tattoo that stretches from their neck to the upper portion of their chest and down their arms. It's kind of like a forest scene with eyes staring out of the trees, bats going down the arms, and right where their heart would be is a wolf on top of a cliff, howling up at a blood red moon on their neck. And they're wearing like lots of furs and leathers, and they finish their breakfast and look at the time and just sigh before taking out their smoky black rapier and just slicing through reality to go to the office.
Yeah, very, very common to move through realities to get to.
Man, the commutes gotta suck.
It's actually not as bad as you would think. Kind of like working across the road.
What's rush hour like for transdimensional travel?
Counterspell, that's what it's like.
Just pick them up and move them telekinetically. We'll jump to Montavious.
So good old Montavious, it's hard to tell what he really looks like. It just depends on the day. He is a changeling, so he has the ability to change his appearance. And excuse me. Most days he would appear to be a human, darker hair, kind of a olive skin tone, decently attractive, slender build. Everybody he turns to definitely has a slender build. Like, they look like they're not very strong, but they're probably stronger than they look like they are. And he would have probably been at the meeting place for at least 2 hours before they were even supposed to be there.
Overachiever.
Just to watch people arrive, or just so that you weren't late?
A little bit of both.
Also, I didn't remember what time he said, so I'm here now.
Yeah, he's very much ADHD time blindness issue.
Understood. Okay.
When
And-
Zolan, sorry, when
Okay,
Zolan
go.
slices through and sees him just standing there, he just looks at you and says, "Work-life balance, man."
Work is life. No work, no money, no life. Work is life.
That's cold, but that's so true.
And then last, we will jump to Adrenaline.
Adrenaline is or was previously a sun elf. Still kind of is, but there's a little bit difference to it. So he's got the bronzish skin, the blonde hair that's got flashes of silver now in it. His eyes are amber. A little bit of kind of a sunburst vibe to him. Elves normally already have kind of a quality of being a little bit otherworldly, but as his new, I guess, status? I don't know. This new biology kind of exaggerates that a little bit. So after going cosmic, his ears are a little bit longer. The eyes are transitioned to that sort of sunburst feel. He's got a almost like a marathon runner's build, so he's pretty lean, but I guess a little bit more muscular tone to it than just skin and bones. And I'm assuming he, after receiving the news that he did not actually go traditionally home. He kind of went into his own private office, which was the mansion that previously was gifted to him via key. And he's kind of been he did his trance, but most of it was just reading and trying to catch up on any kind of research that he can, just to try to make the most of not having to do a full rest.
Then, well, since that's what what you did technically over the night, how about you go ahead and roll an investigation check to see how much you were able, how much you were able to find about the subject at hand.
I have good investigation. I have better than a Lark investigation. Outstanding. 25.
Okay. So now that you're with your books and your belongings, you are able to dig a lot deeper than you were up on a mountaintop about Deneros and what you can find about him. Something that does kind of catch you at a surprise is that the texts that you are able to find on this individual are very few and far between. Since it's not information about the current place you are in within the cosmos, there's not a whole lot of him here. But there is, bits and pieces from all of the cosmos within your library. So as you're reading through these books, you're able to pick up one book in particular that's relatively thin, very deteriorated, that looks extremely old. In reading through the book, you realize that the individual in question is not just a dark demon or an old demon, that he is an elder demon. And in the land of Pelagara, he and the goddess of life created all of the other gods and created the land of Pelagara itself. So he is very old, which means he's had a lot of time to gather up power and is technically the father to all of the other gods that Pelagara now holds as their pantheon. You also see that even in his pasts, he always kind of stirred the pot or created chaos or tried to gain more power than the goddess of life, of giving life over there, who is Zacius. And always wanted to try to be a step above her, to be stronger than her, but always fell a little short, and you started to see within the reading some resentment between the two. And you probably are able to get the gist that their bickering and their fighting is probably why there may be tensions over there.
That's rough.
Other than that, though, mostly what you find is just like, oh, this cult follows Deneros. Oh, like, demon stuff. Like, it's just little tidbits here and there, nothing really substantial. And they're all just kind of scattered throughout other books. But this one very thin, deteriorated book, it has that bulk of information that you needed.
Okay. I would almost say, because of the magnitude of the situation and the amount of information he would find, he wouldn't quite be fully satisfied with that, so he would spend as much time as possible just pouring through as many books as he can, which would lead to basically him just getting shunted out of the mansion as the spell comes to a close.
Yep. And as you do, you kind of like get pushed out, which you're used to, probably happens every other time you're in there. And as you kind of like turn, looking at the door as it vanishes, you turn back around and you don't see anything at first, and you start to walk and you just feel pressure about chest height, and you look down and you see your wife looking up at you. All night, really.
The expression that he wears on his face, the last time Leah would have seen that is right before jumping through the portal to go fight He Who Sleeps in Darkness.
And as she sees that expression on your face, like the playful nature that exudes out of her 99% of the time just like empties. And her very tan skin almost becomes like white paper. And she just looks at you with these blank eyes and she says, "Where are we going?"
I'm going to what I can only assume be a separate world, really. I don't think there's a better way of describing it.
Well, if you're going, then I'm going.
Not this time. This time we have more to lose. And if I fail, you need to be here as a last line of defense.
Okay, well then I need to speak with your healer so that they understand the brevity of the situation.
I will arrange it.
Okay, great. I'm going to go to my office and you let me know when they're ready to talk. And she starts to walk away, and then she turns back around. She grabs you by like the front of your collar to be at her eye level, and she gives you a quick kiss on the lips and goes, "If you die, I will bring you back just to kill you myself. Just know that." And she lets you go and walks off to her office.
He just kind of nods and chuckles to himself. Probably the only humor to be had in this amount of time, and he'll head on to the group meeting area.
Gotcha. So as you all convene, Zolan, you kind of drag Montavious on with you, and
I just
Smoke.
want it noted that Smoke is the last person there.
Absolutely.
Always. He is just always late.
The highest speedster is always late.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Zolan was there only slightly before you.
And Adrenaline was only there first, other than Montavious, because he practically slept there.
Mm-hmm.
But so you all arrive, and as you come together, you kind of look around, and about 5 minutes later, smoke rolls in, and you're all just kind of like, whatever. You all meet in Zalis' office. He is sitting at his desk, which is this like really outlandishly huge, big mahogany desk for no reason, because his desk is like the size of like a broom closet, so he can barely get behind his own desk. But he wanted a big, lavish piece of furniture, and he got it.
It was the only thing that was in the budget for him.
Correct. And so there are places for you to sit. They are not physical furniture items. They are things that he does apparate for you. But there is a place for all four of you to sit. As he kind of looks around at the four of you, you see him kind of like milky-eyed for a second. You see him mumbling to himself. And then comes back. I see that your fifth member is preoccupied. We have made arrangements. If possible, they will join you when they can, but they seem rather busy. So that may not be in the cards.
Must be important.
Quite. So, I'm not sure if you were able to find anything else on what you told, or on this situation that I mentioned to you. But there is a very large problem out in the cosmos. We have found information about Pelagara, linking them to the Kal Mystics. It seems that the second in command of their rankings is in a land called Pelagara, and I'm not sure if any of you are aware of that area or know anything about it.
A few clippings in books that I've read, but nothing overtly substantial.
DM, do I know anything about this area?
Roll a history check.
All right, I'm going to use the dice that Rory picked out for me today. Ooh, natural 17 for history of...
I'm telling you, she's gold at picking dice.
She really is. She's gold at rolling stats, too. 19.
Okay. In your travels, you never went to Pelagara, but you kind of skirted around it in terms of the cosmos. You are aware that they have a small pantheon comparatively to some of the other places that you were aware of. They have 5 main gods that most people rely on and pray to and worship, and then they have 2 elder beings in their pantheon. Other than that, it's usually a very peaceful area. There isn't a whole lot of excitement over there. People kind of keep to themselves based on who they worship. They kind of separated themselves out so that they didn't rub each other the wrong way. But of course, humanoids in general are very power hungry when they want to be. And so there is now this kind of raise for power and pull for who has more land and who has more control. And that's kind of all you know at the moment.
Okay. Smoke's just going to relay that information. Yeah, they have like only 5 gods and 2 elder beings. Like, it's not exciting whatsoever over there. But the people are like, they separate themselves, but then some of them can be like super power hungry. It just depends on who you like encounter, I guess. Some of them are very like, don't come near me. I don't like you. And then some are like, give me all your money and all of your power and vote for me.
Well, that is I expected you to know, that's for sure.
Is it because I'm a cat?
No, it's not because you're a cat. It's just it's another land entirely, on another continent, in another part of the world, or on another world entirely.
Listen,
I
we
don't.
skirt the cosmos over here.
Right, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How stupid of me. You see him kind of just like pinch himself a few times and then like stretches out his hand the same number of times and then shakes his head and gets back into his train of thought. Because there seems to be a lot of dark forces building up power in Deneros, the, I guess, elder devil of destruction and chaos, which is always a great thing to have. And from what we were able to gather, there is a group of adventurers, much like yourselves, trying to quell this, but they're having trouble. They're known as the champions. They are called that because, well, their small pantheon of gods picked them by hand to be their champions, and they're not very creative. So take that as you will.
Thorn just says, well, if they're as powerful as their name suggests, then I'm absolutely shocked on why they haven't quelled this problem already.
Yeah, I mean, they could be called the hand, which is just an appendage of the body.
Hey, I didn't come up with the name.
You know, champions, hands. Everybody has silly names. It's part of the gig.
Yes, I've heard many strange ones. Things like wayward assistants or some rubbish. I don't know. Group names are strange. Anyway, we were able to make contact with the leader of these champions. Her name is Lorelei Singorn. She's an elf, and she said they greatly would request assistance with this issue. They're afraid that if it gets too out of hand, that it could spread all over the cosmos and could be knocking on a door any moment.
Are we concerned about their influence spreading beyond Pelagara?
I am quite worried about it. It puts everything we've been working towards to understand the mystics, to get them under control here, completely at jeopardy. If he's able to get out of Pelagara and get anywhere else and get to here, we have found that there's a very good chance that his power will directly feed the Lord of Black Dreams, and they together may be unstoppable. If we can bite this head off where it lies now, it could greatly increase the chance that the Lord of Black Dreams isn't as powerful, and we can stop whatever it is he's trying to do.
Up until recently, the existence of this entity was more or less mythic. That if it reaches beyond its nest, then yeah, that's a major problem. But we may have an ally, and I use that term extremely loosely. I came upon a tome that places the second elder being at presumably minimal odds against Deneros.
Oh, so?
His nature causing conflict amongst the two.
Well, I do believe one of the champions is her direct link, so maybe when you get there, he can help you ask her for guidance or assistance or allyship.
Worth a shot.
Is there anything you need? Any potions or healing items?
Yes, that.
Do you have a pocket cleric somewhere?
And there's like a very sort of like, it's plain on his face. He's not, I mean, he's been a warrior for a very long time, but Adrelin's not hiding the fact that healing is a good idea.
Right. But I don't have a pocket cleric. I do know that one of the champions is a cleric and will probably be more than happy to help you in that regard. But we do have plenty of potions. And you see him pull out a very large crate and put it on his desk. I actually just got from your wife. This one in particular. And he pulls out one that says for Addie with lots of hearts and is like has a pink stopper and pink wax holding it together. It's like the largest Supreme bottle that she could find. And I believe that one's for you.
It's the high school kid that the mom still like makes the lunch for. The head hanging low and the small like trot up to the thing and he grabs the bottle.
Zolan is snickering so hard, and you can see their fangs sticking out of the smile.
And he pulls out 3 other bottles of the same size, and then pulls out 8 of the next size down. So, right, I had that right. It's superior. Is it superior then supreme?
No, I think supreme is the
Big one.
The big one.
Okay, so everyone has 1 supreme and then 2 superiors.
I feel a little slighted here. I'm not gonna lie. And he like makes a pointed look at Adrenaline. Just she could have at least put everyone a little something on there. It's not like we're strangers.
You do look at the bottom of yours, Smoke, and it does have like a little happy face engraved in the glass.
He doesn't mention that because he just made an ass of himself. He like just he was like he was genuinely hurt.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that, Zolan?
Sorry, Zolan that checks their own bottle.
You see a smiley face as well, but it has little like fangs sticking out of it. And Montavious has one that is just like a mask and eyes.
1 supreme and 2 superior.
So I know that's not nearly enough to sustain your whole journey, but at least it's a good jumping off point.
Indeed.
Montavia shows me the bottle and I was like, well, she didn't do that to mine. And he just like puts his bottles like in his bag very gingerly.
Deeply, so he's like, don't look.
It's like when you accuse someone of stealing your pencil, but like it's behind your ear.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you need to acquire? Any ammunitions, weapons, anything of the like? I mean, you all look rather prepared in that aspect, but is there anything else you could possibly need? We don't want to send you into basically unknown territory unprepared.
Well, speaking of unknown territory, do we have a piece of it that Zolan can attach to?
Or a map. And like as he mentions the map, like he gets like straight up and excited and his nose starts to twitch a little bit.
We don't have one here, but in our contacts with Lorelei, she said that she'd be more than happy to have one when you arrived. I was able to acquire the item in which to get there, and it did take some work and a few favors, but we got it. And you see him pull out this very gnarled piece of like bark. This should take you to a forest that's just outside where they are currently. They said they're in a city of Aveline. Said it's a very calm and peaceful area. 2 of their members are from there, so that is where they currently are, gathering supplies and trying to figure out what to do next. So this should get you rather close to their current location, and he pulls out a much smaller sending stone than you're used to seeing, and places it on the desk next to the wood. And he goes, "This will contact you directly to Lorelei once you arrive. It won't work until you get there, but she does have the other piece. It's one sending stone that we snapped in half, basically."
I see.
Zolan just kind of gets everybody's attention. Also, before we start heading out, I don't know who or what decided that I would be wanting this. I'm not sure that I want it, but someone left me a gift last night when everybody left for the evening. And Zolan just pulls out a box and sticks a very specific key, and then like presses a button and opens the box and pulls out the clay emboss like clay thing that was left on his desk last night.
Oh,
I don't know if this bodes well, or
was there any parcel or note or anything with it? Just this item?
it was in a box.
Interesting.
Was there a note? I can't remember.
There was. It said, "Please bring this with you. We may need it."
Is the box still there? Like sitting on the table? Like you've taken the statue thing out and there's a box?
There's a box inside the box. This is like a box that Zolan has that's very clearly trapped, that they have for safekeeping various items.
Okay. Smoke is just going to be very intrigued in the box and not the statue.
And Montavious has probably broken into that box.
So Zolan, just to be clear, the box that you have that was from your office, have you opened it yet?
Yes, I opened it and took the thing out to show everybody.
Okay. So there are technically 2 boxes for Smoke to be investigating.
Adrenalin's just
One of
happy this
them-
one doesn't play music.
One of them, as Smoke tries to get to the box, Zolan just walks up the wall and sits crisscross applesauce on the ceiling so that they can't get to it.
Monks can run up straight, flat surfaces.
And I can fly.
And I can jump.
As this is happening, Zalis has taken the clay disc that does look like it could create a symbol. He looks at that. Adrenaline, did you take out the tome, or is it still in your bag?
No, I took, whenever he was explaining the potential beef between the 2 elder beings, he took the tome out and placed it on whatever surface is in front of him.
So he just kind of looks at all the pieces and the little note, and he's like, "Why does that handwriting look so familiar?" And he looks through the book, and he finds a small note in the margins of one of the pages, and it is right next to the symbol that is on the clay piece. He goes, "It seems that whoever this book used to belong to left you this present."
Don't like people in my office.
Yes, none of us do. But
Oh, so I'm not supposed to go in there when you're not in there?
Was that directed at me or
Yes.
him?
We've
At you.
spoken about this, personal boundaries.
Zolan just very playfully, but like not 100% playfully, bears their fangs at you.
Yeah, you've probably caught Montavious sleeping in your office a couple times.
As you guys are having this exchange, you look over at Zalis, and he has this very not concerned look, but just quizzical look on his face, as like he's trying to work out a problem and can't figure out the missing piece. There's something's not clicking, and he is utterly confused.
You okay?
I'm quite fine. And as he flips to like the back of the book, you see that there's a page, like the back page that would have nothing written on it is ripped out, and he lays the note flat and puts it up to the book.
Does it match?
It certainly does, which is interesting because, I mean, you found this in your library, correct?
Yes.
No one else can get to your library without you.
Correct.
Which leads me to believe that this page was ripped out of the back of this book before it found its way to your library.
This book is exceedingly old. When would that have happened?
Thousands of years ago?
And you recognized the handwriting. How old are you?
I mean, I don't recognize it personally, but I've seen the writing before, and it's in this book, and they match. Hold on one moment, and he pulls out this, like, eyeglass, and you start to see spell inscriptions kind of, like, feeding their way out of the eyeglass onto the paper. And he just kind of takes it and puts it back and puts his hand on his head and just... I don't understand. How can that be possible? The ink is the same. The ink of all the notes and the scribblings that are in this book and the note that was written to Zolan are from the same time period.
DM.
Yeah.
Smoke is going to take out, because he's always got parchment on him, gonna take out parchment and some ink. We're in an office, so I assume there's ink and stuff here.
Yes.
And is going to copy one of the very first line from the note page to see if it's his own handwriting, and then hand the quill, to the very next person, which I assume is Adrenaline because he's looking at it.
Okay, so you hand the quill basically to all four members of the hand that are currently with you.
As we do travel, to different planes and different worlds. So,
and time is wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, time is different. So, is this us from the future, but it's in the past here?
Okay.
Zolan cocks their eyebrow at you, but shrugs because they honestly don't know how old they are, so...
So as you all write, and he takes your samples just to check, and he looks... No, and he puts his eyeglass back on. You see the magic inscriptions kind of glance over all of the pages. No, that's none of your handwritings. I don't know why I find it so familiar.
Dude.
Can I see if it looks familiar?
Yeah, does it mention an author in the tome?
With how deeply you were looking over this tome, it does not mention an author. But I will have both Adrenaline and Montavious make history checks.
Goody, I'm real good at those.
Look at your own handwriting.
17.
19.
Okay. So Montavious, you look at this It scratches an itch at the back of your head as something that may have been familiar, but you've never seen this person's handwriting before. Adrenaline, you have only seen this person's handwriting 1 or 2 other times. It is Tara's handwriting.
Oh, splendid.
Now, and you do notice that she did not write the book. She has written notes in the sides, like in the margins.
Gotcha.
Footnotes.
Yeah. Like little tidbits of like, this may be helpful, this might be not important. Oh, that's funny. You know, like just like random word vomit brain dump onto the page. And probably one of the only other people who could jump through time as easily as you all can.
Fair. I don't know who the author is, but these little notes on this in the margins here, I do recognize that as being my ancestor. The original guardian.
Oh, that's why it's familiar. And he pulls out a small stack of papers and he pulls one out that does have another just like little symbol or little like tidbit of information on like the corner of a page. This was left on my desk a couple days ago before all of this happened. And it just says Pelagara. Look it up.
Fantastic.
I go to my office and see if there's a note.
You find a small scrap of parchment that says, "Stop feeling like a picky bitch."
Okay.
Tara's got the sass.
So much. She's very old.
Have we? Is Tara alive? Have we met her?
No.
No, she's not really like alive. She's kind of just ever present. She's more of a feeling that can corporalize.
Asgard, it's a people.
I guess Smoke will saunter on back to his place and see if he finds anything.
Go ahead, since it's your whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Investigation. Okay, that's a 13.
Okay. You're looking, you kind of don't care, but you kind of care. And so you're not really like wholeheartedly looking. So you start feeding your plants and playing with them, and you find one that looks a little more vibrant than it did this morning. And you do see a little scrap of paper under it, and it says, "This one's my favorite."
And I will whisper to the paper, "You're not supposed to have favorites. It makes the others jealous." And I will come back to the group and be like, "All right, this is what she told me. She told me that I was her favorite."
Somehow I doubt that, but
Insight check.
I showed the paper.
You can insight check. Go for it. And roll either a persuasion or a deception if Smoke thinks that that it was meant for Smoke, or if Smoke knows that it was meant for the plant.
Straight 16.
Yeah, he's lying. I got a 9.
So Zolan, you kind of look Smoke up and down. That is what the paper says, but probably isn't referring to Smoke themselves. What you do with that information is up to you.
Zolan just takes an upside down sip of coffee.
it's more impressive on the cup than it is the fact that you're sitting up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think
They're just holding it upside down, and they've just learned to drink upside down.
It's like the myth that you drink it backwards when you have the hiccups.
Yep.
Wait, how do you drink backwards?
I don't know.
On the opposite side of the cup.
You spit it into the cup. Yeah.
See, I was just thinking it as like I drink it normally, but walk backwards.
This is
Wait,
also
what?
No, that's what I do, and it confuses my brain enough that I forget that I had the hiccups. So I drink water while taking small steps backwards.
Legitimately,
I can't even
this
walk
isn't even
forward.
anything. I've just figured out that if you like put pressure on your chest, and when the next hiccup comes, you just turn it into a burp, it's gone.
Wow.
Did you know that technically you never get rid of hiccups? There's just a really long gap between the last one and the next one.
fantastic.
Glorious. I think half of us in this group right now have like some of the most violent hiccups I've ever seen. So super.
I think we have as much information as we can get here. Anything else that we need or could potentially get, we have to get from there.
Correct. So, all right, everyone's ready. I will perform the ritual. And so he takes the piece of wood and takes you into a sub room of his office. And as you go through the other door, you realize that, like, this was probably supposed to be his office, but he turned it into, like, a spell room instead. And he puts the wood, and you see it's a not a huge room, but much larger than the office you just came from. And you see a bunch of incantations and spell rituals and runes and things like engraved into the ground. Please stand in the middle, and I will begin the finishing touches. Yes.
As he's doing that, Zolan wants to like see if there's like any like magical smoke bombs or something that he can snatch. Sorry, they can snatch. I'm misgendering my own character.
I was also going to see if I could snatch some parchment paper so that I could make some maps on the way.
Okay. Sleight of hand checks from, well, first, I guess, perception checks from both of you, and then sleight of hand checks from both of you.
That's a dirty little 20 for my perception check.
Okay.
Can this guy cast any healing? And I'm talking any healing, minor healing, greater healing, does not matter. Just any kind of restorative healing.
Him specifically, no. He's a full wizard boy.
Damn.
I want to take Smoke's sending stones from whatever pocket he normally keeps them in and put them on the opposite side.
Oh, you are so mean. I have a passive perception of 20.
Yeah, so sleight of hand check, Montavia. So you do see
21.
You booty hole.
I see it.
9 plus 12.
Nice. So first, Smoke, you do see a large stack of parchment that you're like, I could probably snag 2 or 3 rolls of that before he notices.
Yeah, my sleight of hand is a 17.
Okay, so let's see if he sees you.
Oh, wait. I'm double proficient in that. So that would have actually been 22. Sorry.
I don't see it.
Does an extra proficiency only go up 1 point?
Because I rolled a 9.
Right.
Being double proficient, I can take a 10.
Do you have expertise in sleight of hand?
Oh, no, it's reliable talent. Yeah.
Yeah, reliable talent. That's what it is.
So reliable talent gives you a 10. Yeah. Expertise gives you your proficiency times 2. So your proficiency is 6, so that's 12 plus your dexterity plus 10.
So lots.
So way more
So
than
plus
22.
15, yeah. No.
Yeah. Wait.
No, more than that.
So I got a 16 for perception and a 24 for sleight of hand. If I find anything, I mean, if there's nothing that's like smoke bombs or like anything that'll help with stealth or something like that, then they'll just steal something random.
Okay. Smoke, you for sure get like 4 scrolls of paper before he looks up and you stop what you're doing.
I'm not double proficient. I'm just 1 proficient.
Okay. There we go.
21.
There we go.
It's regular proficiency for reliable talent, though.
Yeah, so reliable talent gets him up to 10, and then he would add, what's your dex modifier?
6.
Plus 6. So you would have a 22.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I was right.
Yeah.
Yes, you were just saying all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Thanks for
I was
reminding me about
I was
Having a
doing
math-
that.
Having a math teacher as your DM is a little. What is it called?
Intimidating.
Yeah, that.
So where I was fucking up was I was thinking I was double proficient, which gave me the ability to use reliable talent. That's where I was fucking up.
Right, yeah. Reliable talent is just anything you're proficient in.
Before we get zapped away, I'm going to look at this fellow and say, I'll leave the conversation with Leah to you. Just let her know that the healer is on site and the arranged meeting can't happen as planned. Thank you.
Oh, what?
Good luck.
Wait, and we'll say that happens like right as he finished the incantation, and you're like half zapped by the time you're like, okay, bye.
One of Blaze's very important K-Tank spies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just for hilarity's sake, we'll have that happen. So first, so yes, you are able to get Smoke's sending stones to the opposite pocket without them noticing, because you're doing this while they're stealing parchment, and that's their focus. And Zolan, you are able to find one rather large bottle that looks like it has some smoke in it. You just kind of grab it quickly and don't really pay attention to what it is, and you'll just have to look at it later. But you do grab it.
Cool.
So as he finishes the incantation, Adrenaline, you get that last little bit. He goes, wait, what? I'm sorry. And you're all zapped through time and space. And none of you see this, but he's just standing there. And then there's a small knock, on his door. And Adrenaline, the last few seconds that you're in the room, you hear, hey, is Adrenaline in here?
That was close.
If she was 30 seconds earlier, she would have jumped in that into that circle, and you know it.
Yep.
Zolan looks at you and says, "Ooh, you're in trouble."
That's a later problem.
As you guys are all ripped through time and space, you kind of get that feeling of stretching and then being scrunched back together and then stretching again. And you kind of are thrown out onto grass, and you all kind of roll and land on your feet, just kind of looking around. This area that you've come in, you look behind you, and there is a large, lush forest behind you of evergreens and redwoods and just these huge, massive, thick, bushed trees that look incredibly healthy. And you kind of just in awe of how beautiful they are. Adrenaline, you being very familiar with the Greatwood, even the Greatwood's trees don't look this healthy.
Dang.
I just want to be aware that Smoke did the absolute most for a 3-point landing. He rolled extra just to get the 3-point landing to look badass to just trees out here.
Yep. It's glorious. Now I will say something to Smoke here in a second. But the grass is very lush, and as Smoke, as you look up from your very awesome 3-point landing, you do actually see legs just in front of you, and you see a very, very tall, very thin, very toned, elvish woman. Well, that was very impressive. I wasn't expecting you at this exact moment, but I'm glad I arrived when I did.
It was nothing. Just regular.
I do my very best to land as ungracefully as possible while simultaneously knocking Smoke over.
Do it.
I'll say for that, roll an acrobatics check so that you can purposely land into Smoke.
Oh, you're gonna beat me. Oh yeah.
Oh, I have so much acrobatics.
Yeah,
I do. I do too. But I rolled total shit.
Guess
I
how
will
much?
say that since you're dodging technically an attack, I'll say it's a saving throw if that changes anything.
It doesn't, because I'm proficient in all saving throws, and I'm also proficient in acrobatics, so it's the same roll. That's going to be a 16 with my plus 10. That's a 16.
Oh,
My plus is higher than that.
yes.
I rolled a 15, 32.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So as you kind of stand up, Smoke, and you're like, it was nothing. You just feel like your knees give out and you hit your face into the grass. And then you just feel this very thin creature crushing you slowly. As you kind of turn your head, you just see Zolan's hair kind of in your eyes. And you just kind of pat him off of you, and he's like, I'm so sorry.
I want to sleight of hand give Zolan a high five.
Zolan
Sure.
fully accepts it.
Sure, bully the cat.
The cosmic intrepid hero food chain, guys.
28 for my sleight of hand.
27.
Yeah. Goes unnoticed by all. So, the elvish woman standing before you, she is wearing kind of half plate, half hide armor, where the main parts of her body are protected by this heavy metal, but the sides and things that aren't as necessary are protected by very fine leathers. She has very long brown hair that has been tied up into a very tight bun on the top of her head. Her features are extremely sharp, and her ears are perfectly pointed. She looks like the definition of elf.
I want to turn into whatever I would think a male version of her looks like.
Okay. And you do, and she kind of looks at you for a moment. If I had a brother, I'm pretty sure that's what he would look like. Odd. She tilts her head and kind of squints her eyes at you. I don't love that. Moving on. Hello, I am Lorelei Singorn. I believe you are the ones sent here to help us.
Indeed.
That's wonderful, because I wasn't really sure that half of a sending stone was going to work. And she kind of throws it into a side pouch that she has. She kind of looks back behind her, and you see about 200 feet behind her a very large city covered in flowers and vines and just the most ever-present, basically hippie shrine that you could possibly think of. That's what it looks like. It's just hippie land, love, nature, all that. And she kind of looks behind her and she goes, well, that's where the rest of our party is. I am not from this area, and sometimes it makes me very uncomfortable to be here. But I love my friends, and they're from here, and they love it here. So we are here.
And leads the way.
Montavious is going to just him almost at normal speaking volume, lean over to Adrenaline and just, "What are we doing here? I wasn't paying attention."
We're stopping a bad situation from getting worse.
Okay.
Zolan whispers to Lorelai, "I completely understand what you mean. These folks make me stay in the weirdest of places."
And he kind of whispers back to you, "Are you sure that he's not the weird feeling? I think he might be the weird feeling."
My feelings aren't weird.
Anyway, we should get walking. Oh, yes. And she walks a few feet behind you, grabs like 6 branches off of a tree and just rips them off with like stupid strength that someone of her size should not have. And just kind of like carries them under her arm. Yes, this is what I was coming out for. Almost forgot.
Firewood?
No, I don't know. Benin said he needed it for something. I have no idea. Don't understand.
Is she wearing any kind of armor?
Yeah, she has half plate, half hide armor that's very thick on her fronts and like the vital organs, but very thin on anywhere else that makes her easy to move.
She is safe for now.
She leads you back into the hippie sanctuary. And as you get to the front gates, no one asks you what you're doing here. No one looks at you sideways. And Smoke, what does catch your attention specifically is that while everyone else around the gate does kind of have that, like, I know how to feel about this cat person, Lorelai does not. She does not even look at you as any different than she is.
You can't tell unless you have a really high insight. But Smoke swoons just a tiny bit.
I have a 0 for my insight. So.
21 insight, or passive insight.
Oh yeah, you would definitely notice.
You probably see the slightest tail swish that you normally don't see.
Huh.
But like the guards don't ask why you're here. The guards don't even bat an eyelash at the fact that you've just waltzed into this town. That as you've looked, obviously all you've seen is lush forest, but this is a very large city and it is probably the capital of this area. And no one's worried that you're here. No one's checking where she's from or what she's doing. Everyone is just like standing at attention, and you kind of, Adrenaline, you would notice, and actually I think you all would notice, you all have pretty high passive perceptions. As soon as she passes far enough in front, they all take a big exhale like, "Ooh, okay, she didn't say anything." And you gather that the champions probably have a lot of sway in this area, or maybe even all over the continent because of their direct connection to the gods that basically created their existence. And they have a lot of respect. So they basically can do and say whatever they want.
Do I get the vibe that they're scared of her, or do they just not want to make a bad impression?
They aren't scared of her specifically. I think more so it's the respect thing where they just want to make sure that like she doesn't think that we disrespected her, that we weren't slouching, because she gives off the vibe to all of you that like she's in control. She's the leader. She's going to make sure that everything happens the way that it's supposed to happen. She has a group of fuckheads behind her, but she is going to be on point.
Okay. So it's like when you're at work and the big boss comes and you, "Oh, I'm working."
I am for sure on duty. I did it.
Yeah.
I did the reports yesterday. And she leads you for quite a while into the main central area of this area. And as she gets closer to a very large, what you can only assume to be a home, she's, well, welcome to Aveline. We are staying here for the moment. My friends Bellin and Zlovel, they live here, or they did before all of this started, and we'll debrief you on everything that's been happening once we're in there. Also, which one of you was needing a map?
That one. Points to 12.
Yes, your map will be inside. And she leads you into the main entryway of this garden. There obviously is a very large garden in front of this house, and there are huge trees and very large flowers, like flowers the size of your faces, just growing in large groves for probably about 100 feet in either direction of the main walkway, just everywhere. As you get up to the door, she doesn't knock, she just opens it like she lives there, and takes you into a room that was probably like a main sitting room that has been turned into a war planning room. She takes you in, and in this room you see 5 other individuals other than herself. You see someone who is wrapped in basically just linen, like not from head to toe, but his chest is wrapped in linens, his hands up to his mid forearm are wrapped, and his legs are wrapped, and he's wearing rather baggy brown pants that look very simple. And he is bald with these startling blue eyes and very, very dark eyebrows, but no other body hair can be seen on him other than those eyebrows. He looks very stoic and cold, and just kind of watches everyone else with this kind of like protective older brother vibe. You also see 2 Vidalcan individuals. They are also bald, but they also have no noses and no ears. They are bright blue, and have very thin mouths. The female Vidalcan, she has these very large purple eyes with like huge eyelashes, is very slender in build, and is wearing animal hides, and has like flower tattoos running from the base of her neck down her chest, all the way down her right arm. And the male is in heavy plate armor and has like these very stoic golden eyes, that if you weren't looking close enough, looks like he has no pupil. And you do see a symbol on his armor that looks like 2 hands holding a sunflower, but a symbol on the weapon that he's carrying, a scimitar that's at his side. The scimitar that he's wielding has a very different symbol. It looks like 2 scythes that are crossed together in front of a tombstone. And you can see that normally, Adrenaline, you're used to swords, and you're used to people like kind of leaning their elbows on their swords as like, yep, this is part of me. And he has his arms crossed and shifted his whole arms away from this weapon. There's also a dwarven barbarian with wild, crazy red hair, long, not even kind of tame. He's like dreadlocks, and like his beard is dreadlocks, and he is just wild looking. He has basically just pants on, has a very large axe on his back, and anyone who's close enough to it, their hair is moving like there's wind. And this, like, you just see this kind of like small swirling vortex around the head of the axe. And then lastly, you see a water genasi individual who has a large bow around their back that in the bow, if you look closely enough, has like embedded, engraved pictures of an owl, like the same owl over and over again along its sides. But you do not see any animal companion with them. They do kind of have that ranger vibe, but there is no animal near them. He has very long, almost like looking like they just got out of the shower, long blue hair. He's a very like muted blue, with these kind of like forest green eyes. He's wearing leathers. Just kind of looks like, can we please just figure out what we're gonna do and get out of here? Let's just do the damn thing. Like he doesn't seem like he hates where he is. He's just impatient. No,
I'm just gonna say I kind of vary before full introductions are made or whatever. I'm going to not fully get in between Smoke and the Barbarian, but be like a step and a half off of that.
Okay.
I'm going to, without any cause for introduction or anything like that, I'm going to speak up and say, hello, everyone. My name is Laurel Truth. I'm Lorelai's long lost brother.
Oh my god.
He's not. He is for sure not. But no, he's not. And they're like, you see this stoic, bald, monk-looking man. Sorry, I choked on my own spit. Oh, that would be funny. Lorelai's parents having sex more than the one time. That would never happen.
The twins.
Yes.
No, you're not. The two Vidalcan individuals go, well, I'm Slovel, and this is my husband, Bellin. Sorry, I switched that. The druid is the man, does have the flower tattoos, and the cleric within the full plate armor is the female. And she is moved away from her weapon. Sorry. It helps if you can read your own notes. I can't read at all, so that's upsetting.
Along with math, but can't read for shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But nevertheless, she says, I'm Slavel, and this is my husband, Bellin. Welcome to our home. Thank you for coming to our aid from... Did you say they came from another planet? I did, but it's all right. They seem perfectly humanoid. Okay, yes, that's fine. Everything's fine. It's all right, dear. Nothing's going to happen to you. And he puts, you see, Bellin puts his hand on Slavel's very bald head and just kind of pats it. Well, the idiot laughing is Corrid. Corrid Hykins. I can introduce myself, thanks. But thanks for doing it for me, because I don't have to. And the barbarian puts his axe on the table and kind of puts both of his knuckles down. He goes, "Oi, I'm Harkin."
As he starts to speak, Smoke starts doing that weird growl in the back of his throat that cats do when they like don't want you to touch them.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts to reach for his sword.
I want to poke Smoke in the eye.
I'm going to just put my hand in between them. Just kind of like that, almost like you're making a turn. It's like the road hand signal, but he's just kind of putting that out towards, or to kind of signal Smoke to calm down.
And Monte his eyes if he can't see, if Smoke can't see the barbarian, he can't be mad about the barbarian.
Do we have the equivalent of a laser pointer?
It's a cantrip.
Yeah, it's the light cantrip. You just super focus it. But he doesn't seem to notice at first. He goes, I am Harbeck Tosca. I also am not comfortable here. There's too many plants. But we will get the job done. Just let me hit the fecker. And Lorelai, feeling the tension, just kind of steps in front and she picks up his hammer, puts it back on his back, and goes, Harbeck, darling, how about you just take it down about 18 notches and go stand over there. Like, what? Oh, did I piss someone off already? You certainly did. I don't know what you did, but you did. All right. And he just kind of like waddles over to the corner and just kind of like sits in a chair.
Nobody puts Barbarian in the corner.
Don't worry.
No, we put them in the grave.
He offends many people all the time. He's very used to his timeout corner.
Well, hopefully he won't be there for long, and we can get this done.
Hopefully. And she points over to the water ganassi, and he's like, I'm Tidal Esmos. That's all really you need to know.
Profound.
Truly.
I like
Don't
that one.
mind.
I don't like that.
He's not a people person. I'm sorry. Well, and you see before you a very large map of what you assume is the continent. And she grabs a much smaller map, rolled up, and hands it to Smoke. And as you open it, it does look almost like a exact copy, just much smaller and easier to transport with you.
On giving him the map, he completely forgets everyone else is there and just like walks away from the group, and you just hear him like softly muttering to himself. And I can't remember what we call the feline language that they have, the Tabaxi language.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, he just starts speaking to himself and like just pulls out his little glasses and just inspects the map.
Zolan just whispers to Montavious, are we not going to introduce ourselves?
I already did. I'm Laura Truth.
I don't think they believe you.
I just got that joke.
Wait, say it again?
I'm Laura Truth.
Laura Truth. Because she's Lorelai, he's Laura Truth.
Oh.
I was wondering why you went with that. I was like, and that one took me a second too. Now I get it. But they all kind of stare at you and then look at Lorelai like, who are these people? Like, we know they're here to help, but like, who are they?
Pardon my friends, I'm not usually the polite one of the group. Zolan Desdemona, head assassin / bodyguard of the Moonfall Shifters, and member of the Paragon Hand. Sorry, is that right?
Yeah, Paragon's hand.
Okay.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. As Slavel sticks out her hand, you hear her armor ching ching tink. And she does so.
Zolan shakes her hand and does a yawn that shows off their fangs.
Oh, that's lovely. And then she just kind of looks at the rest of you awkwardly for a moment, like, oh god, are they all vampires?
Montavious will, alright, fine, and then he'll make himself look like the druid that, I can't say that name. Not the druid, no, not the druid, the cleric lady?
Oh, Slavel?
Yeah, I can't say that.
It's Zlovol.
Oh, he's gonna make himself look like her and say, my name is... I forget what your name is. I'm Montavious. I used to help this guy back in Adelanus called Dimitri. Don't know if you've heard of him or not. Well, it was more... Magnus had me do stuff that Dimitri didn't feel like doing. Anyway, it's a whole big ordeal. I'm another part of Paragon's hand.
Huh?
And then he'll go back to his normal form.
Oh, okay. And you see Zlavel's head like tilt from side to side. You see Harbeck's eyes get real big. Like, that's the dopest thing I've ever seen. And Cora just shakes his head like, impressive. The only one who is actively speaking, though, other than Lorelai, is Zlavel. You kind of get that the girls of the group kind of take lead on the charismatic aspects of the group. And the rest of them are just, they got it.
Adrellin will take a step forward. Adrellin Sunweaver, warrior scholar.
Oh, that's impressive. And
Hush.
I don't believe your friend over there is going to speak. They look
Hush.
very invested in that map.
We call that one smoke.
Yeah, I turn into smoke, and then I give off whatever Smoke would normally say if he wasn't invested in a map, and then go back to myself.
Yeah, this isn't the first time this kind of awkward introduction has happened.
Yeah.
He's our cartographer.
Smoke would normally say, I am Smokescreen, and I carry the Rage Slayer. And that's just it. And he's like, looks very serious. So I assume that Montavious makes it like a little more dramatic because Smoke is already dramatic, but sort of as a parody of him.
Yeah, Monty is very, very much into the more jovial side, so he would do it, but in a way that makes fun of Smoke.
Understood. So as introductions come to a close, Lorelai then brings you up to the table where you do see, in the very center of it, you see a few cities named out, one of which is Montague, and underneath it says City of Lumber. The other two, you try to read, but it almost looks like someone poured dark black ink on top of the map, and you all kind of look at it sideways for a moment as Lorelai puts her finger on that spot and goes, this here is where Deneros has started his bleed, I guess you could call it. We really don't know how to stop it, but it seems he is sucking all of the potential life out of the continent. All of the plants are dying. People cannot survive in these areas. There are no survivors from either town that it started in. We have done our best to evacuate as much as we could of Montague. We've moved them to a small city on the other side of the river. But I'm really not sure what we're going to do next. He is not physically there. We've tried to find him, and every time we get close, he moves. I mean, he's an elder demon, for crying out loud. Of course he can just bounce in and out of where the fuck he feels like.
If he
So
moves, does the
not-
bleed move with him?
No, it seems he's started it there, and it's just expanding from that spot. Maybe there's an item or some kind of, like, something akin to oh, my mind is in rubbles. We haven't been sleeping very well lately. Things that liches have that hold their soul.
A phylactery?
That, yes, something similar to that. That's absorbing all of the life force within that area, but we've can't get too close to that area because we tried. And she kind of looks over at Corrid and then looks back at the map. We almost lost one of us, and that is not going to happen again. We need all of us in order to stop him. I don't know how we're going to, but we do need all of us.
I can get in.
You can get into a place that sucks the life out of everything that touches it.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. Okay. I wouldn't recommend it, but you're from another planet, so you do what you think is best, I guess. Right now.
Sorry. In Solon's time in the Shadowfell, have they ever encountered something that sounds like what she's describing?
Check.
History.
And while you're going to, Montavious is going to point to Zolan and say, "That one's already half dead anyway."
I'm not dead. I haven't died.
Even unlife is still life.
That's a 14.
Okay, so with a 14, you've heard of individuals like using life force of like plants and people and things to do other things, but it's a more immediate in the instances that you've experienced. Like it's, oh, I need power to do this spell. I'm going to suck the life out of this tree. Boom. Oh, I'm going to use a sacrifice to do this other thing. The sacrifice is immediately taken and immediately used. Even
I do that to some scale.
Right. But you haven't heard of anything that can prolong and expand without the individual being there.
So, Montavious again. Well, if he put this here to collect all this life energy, there's gotta be a way for him to go back and get the thing, because otherwise, what's the point of sucking all the life out of people? You gotta be able to use it. He's gotta have a way to get there. We just gotta figure out what that way is, and then we do it. And then, voila!
Unless he doesn't have to go there, it could act as a funnel.
It also could potentially be the fact that he's an elder demon and it doesn't affect him. Mm-hmm.
Well, I make myself look like him.
You can try.
Is there any way to counteract these effects through arcane means? Any measure of dispelling, or is the predominant effect here more natural?
The Bellin kind of steps forward. Well, I have been mildly successful with things that produce a lot of healing magic or purification magic. And Zlavel had small success with Beacon of Hope. She cast that and was able to get relatively far, but those spells don't last long enough for us to get to the center. It's about a day's travel from the edge of it to the center of it, and she had to rush us all back out. By the time the spell was ending, we barely made any headway.
Some of us here have a great gift for speed. So with that prolonged effect, or at least as long as you can hold that effect, we might be able to get further in.
I mean, forget traveling there. I could probably, if you can describe the location well enough to me, I can probably instantly take us there.
Yeah, he can. That one can teleport.
That's assuming there's not wards already placed up for that.
Is that a thing?
In some circles, yes.
Well, that is worth a try. Unfortunately, I believe Corrid is the only one really from that area, but I don't know if it matters that it would only be from before the bleed occurred. Wouldn't necessarily be what it looks like and what is happening to it currently. Like we said, we haven't been able to get in close enough to see what's really going on.
Oh, it sucks whenever you know stuff that your character wouldn't.
But if that doesn't matter, I mean, Cord can tell you what it used to look like.
I mean, it's worth a try.
Right. Well, Cord. Cord kind of steps forward, kind of tightening his linen wraps around his hands. You see, as he gets a little closer to the rest of you, that his wraps are glowing with this very faint white light that, if you stare at it too long, kind of hurts your eyes. So you have to avert your gaze from them periodically. And you kind of get the feeling that he knows this, and he keeps his hands kind of low to his thigh or in his pockets, or tucked underneath his arms so that they aren't very visible to other people. As he steps forward, well, the area that it started in was my hometown of Glenmore. Guess knowing its name would be the first step. It used to be rather flat, kind of like plains area when you think about cartography. It had a small well in the center. The houses were made of like loose and rather thin twigs and small logs, thatched roofs. It was a very quaint, quiet town. It really wasn't known for anything. We kept to ourselves. There was hardy farmland there, so we farmed for our food. We didn't really need to go to any big cities nearby. Never really went to Montague ever, even though it's only about a 2 days travel from it. Mostly just a normal, small, with less of a town, more of a village, honestly. Does that help?
It's a description. It doesn't guarantee that we'll get there or even somewhere similar to it.
I know it was 4 days travel from the East River and 6 days travel from the south side of the river.
Do you have perhaps an object that's significant to the region?
You see him look at Lorelai like uncomfortably, and she kind of puts her hand on his hand, and you kind of get the feeling that maybe they're closer than the rest of them, but they're not being very open about it. And he kind of, you see like a small lump in his chest wraps, and you see him take out what kind of looks like a chiseled stone on a string that he had tied into one of his linens, and kind of like rips it. And he really, really hesitantly hands it to you. My mother made me that off of one of the stones from the well.
Zolan will take it very gingerly and will hold it in a way that's communicating that
like you're taking care
Zolan
of.
kind of understands being pushed out of your home, and just kind of communicates that with their eyes.
And you see Cord kind of like relax a little more, that you're not just like snatching his shit and like gonna smash it with a hammer or something.
Oh yeah. I will return this to you.
Okay.
When we arrive.
And as you say that, he even more relaxes. Like the knowing that it's not going to be destroyed in the spell makes him feel much, much better. Well, should we get ready to go right now? Or is there anything else Your friend is really digging into that map. Are they going to be okay?
They have a passion for cartography.
Borderline obsession.
It's just like an inch there. Yeah.
Okay. God. Mm-hmm.
So, is there a plan? Are we just popping in, seeing what's up? Do we know what we're looking for?
Well, here's the thing. Even if we are successful in getting to the heart of this bleed, there's nothing to say that the life-absorbing effect is not strongest there. And once we arrive, even if we're successful in arriving specifically there, there's nothing to protect us from immediately getting our essence sucked from us.
I mean, like Belen said, we do have some minor success with things like Beacon of Hope and anything like that where it's like a big bubble of safety. I also do have a special ability with my staff. Or my husband has a special ability with his staff that kind of puts a bubble around each person. And maybe that would be better since it's protecting all of you specifically. We haven't tried that. If we want to walk to the edge and try that first and then teleport into the center, we can try that just to kind of get a baseline of if it'll work or not.
I have a thing I can do, but I can only do it one time per day.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll
also
work.
say, I mean, if that works as well, I was going to bring up the issue of how many people do we have here?
Oh no, I can cast more than once. I didn't say that I can only cast once.
Okay. So there's the 4 of you, and then there's 6 of them. So there's 10 people total.
I can only bring 8 people along.
Okay. That is a small problem, but not a large problem.
Would any of your number be willing to sit this one out?
You see Harbeck in the back kind of shift a little. He goes, I mean, if there's for sure no life there, there probably isn't anything to smack there. And that kind of makes me not, what's the, he kind of stares at title. Big word I'm looking for. Then there's no point in you going. Is that what you're trying to say, basically? Yeah, but isn't there a bigger word for it? No. Oh. Then yeah, that.
Yeah, the word's useless, and then he goes back to mumbling on the verge of the map.
Oh yeah, that was the one I was thinking of.
I was going to say something nicer like obligation.
Oh, thanks. You've broken him for the next 20 minutes. And you just hear him trying to say the word obligation and only getting to like like he's just trying it in like every different way. And so it goes, same, really. If there's not going to be a lot of hordes of things there, I'm probably not a whole lot of use to you. You for sure need the druid and the cleric who can cast healing things on you.
Would be beneficial, yes.
Hey, I need you to look at your DMs real quick.
Coming. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, at least it wasn't the Cantina theme song.
So, is the current plan to get to the edge and then continue to see if our plan works? Maybe sleep and then go forward?
Makes the most sense to me. Is there any other information that we need to know?
Well, we've only encountered Deneros one other time, like one time really getting to him specifically. He is very cocky, really full of himself. And you see Slavok's attention just kind of go like, God, he's annoying. Like she's kind of getting sucked down a rabbit hole, and Belen kind of just taps her shoulder and she kind of pops back to reality. And she goes, but he, I don't know, it was almost like when we got close enough to him that we just felt like, oh, we need to either, some of us felt that we needed to do whatever he needed, and the rest of us felt like we needed to just turn around and walk away. It was the weirdest thing. Like, it wasn't fear. Like, I wasn't running in fear. It was just, oh, no, okay, I'll go. It was very strange.
Arcana check, see if that was a charm.
Sure.
Fantastic. 15.
Okay. Based on what she says, it most likely was a charm. Knowing that Lorelei still had some kind of effect happen to her, it was probably a modified charm so that it could still affect elves. Being an elf yourself, you would know that that's usually harder to do, since magic works funny on them. Or it was just really, really strong. We didn't really feel like we had a choice, though. It didn't feel like something tried to take us over and we failed. It felt like it just was. I've never felt something like that before.
Is it just the natural effect of being in an elder's presence?
Possibly. It could just be the immense power pouring off of him from just years and years of existing makes it to where he can just make you feel however he wants you to feel. If he thinks he has use for you, come help me. If he thinks, oh, you're just going to get in and try to stop me, just leave. It's the most insane feeling I've ever felt.
That is really efficient, but it also seems really out of character for him, being as that seems more passive than anything.
I agree. He does enjoy destruction and chaos. I don't know, maybe it's because of the bleed. It was after the bleed started, so maybe he just has a different goal in mind. He's definitely destroying things, for sure. Causing a lot of chaos in all our areas.
Maybe it's a magical item?
It could be. None of us are really good at the arcane. My husband and mine's magic is more divine, nature-based. So, and Titles is too, actually. We don't really have any arcane magic casters in our group.
Well, that is a specialty of mine, so if there is something there that is arcane or can be judged with arcane, I can.
That's wonderful, because we were really kind of concerned about that, if it is some kind of phylactery or item or something that we know nothing about. Okay, well, Belen, darling, you want to start us off? Yes, of course. We need to get to a tree. I can get us all the way to the bleed. I just can't get us into the bleed.
Being very familiar with this mode of travel, I'll just get ready.
Yep. The rest of you being around Adrenaline enough would also probably be familiar with transport via plants. Lorelei kind of bends down, not condescendingly, but just so that she doesn't have to have anyone else hear her that doesn't need to. She gets down to Smoke's level and says, "Dear, we are leaving now. You can take the map with you."
All right. I think I've got this area memorized.
That's our whole continent. What do you mean you have it memorized?
Just go along with it.
And he'll
Nice maps.
he'll roll it up and put it in his bag, and then he'll pull out one of like his pocket maps and show it like, I made this in less than 10 minutes. And then roll it up and put it back. Let's go.
Oh, all right. Yes, let's find us a tree. It's going to be great.
There's a lot of them outside.
Oh, there sure are.
And they said that we were going to take a rest when we got there. Possibly.
They suggested that after doing basically the test, that if we needed to, or if you all needed to for expending certain abilities and whatnot, you could sleep before trying the big one to make sure that everyone's at full capacity. Don't want to go in even like a tenth tapped.
Yeah.
So you make your way out into the garden where there is this humongous tree, like a weeping willow with all the dangling vines coming off of the top of the tree. It's very large, very healthy. Up close to it, and you kind of put your hand on it, you can almost feel the photosynthesis happening within the tree, like it's that vibrant. And Bellin just kind of like puts his hand on the tree, and you see this like small moment of like recognition, and like almost like they're having a conversation between him and the tree. And you see Harbeck and Tidal standing by the door. Like they're watching to make sure that you get there, like get through the tree safely, but very obviously not going with you. Bellin, you continue.
Before I walk through, Magellan's going to produce a whistle that sounds like a slightly reverbed and magnified falcon screech.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll summon his familiar, his fire falcon.
Okay. I forget, does anything happen when they appear? Like, does it like burst into flame or anything? Like, is it gonna hurt?
No,
They jump out of a pocket dimension.
pretty much. Yeah, there's no enter the battlefield effect or anything like that. It's just happens to be on fire.
Jen.
Gotcha. Sorry, because Smoke memorized the map, I am sending Bree the map.
Yay! It's a map, it's a map, it's a map. That's all I can sing without being in trouble.
Yes.
Technically, DMCA's were 15 seconds or more. Okay, we go 3.
Yes, sorry. Like 10 seconds. Save. And send. So as Bellin's having this moment with the big tree, it starts to then make you hear one small like cracking sound, and then the veil on the tree just opens, almost like curtains, just effortlessly opening, like a breeze just kind of knocked the tree into a giant hole. And you all rush through, and as you pop out the other side, where you and beautiful and lush of greens and all of these vibrant colors from the flowers and everything, and where you pop out the other side is desolate, and like you feel almost like this immediate depression in your emotions, in your like how strong you feel. You just feel weakened and unhappy, and the sky is gray. Like it almost feels like it's threatening to rain, but isn't actually raining. But then there's like this thick humidity that just makes your skin feel like you have an extra layer on it. And about 500 feet off in the distance, you see this just almost like ooze, like almost like you're seeing a black volcano erupting black lava. It kind of is raised up in the very center, way, way far off, but you can see it that it's a little higher up than the rest of it. And then this just almost like ever moving black gunk just pouring out of it. And as they all step forward and just kind of look at it, Lorelei turns back to the rest of you and says, well, welcome to the bleed. It's all sunshine and rainbows from here.
Zolan kind of is like sniffing the air and is just kind of rubbing their nose like it itches. Because weirdly enough, it kind of reminds them of home, but not.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of kind of the vibe of the Shadowfell, but definitely when you go to the Shadowfell, you do not feel these emotions.
Yeah.
It's this, but sad. Like home is happy and it's where your love is, and that's great. And this just makes you sad and want to like dig yourself a little hole and sleep there in the ground.
It's home but uncanny valley, and Zolan just goes, I don't like it.
So is this like where you start getting life juice sucked out of you?
Not here specifically. It's a little bit closer in. Basically, the second you start touching the ooze, it starts not feeling good.
In that case, I go to the.
If the ooze is what makes you sick, then don't touch the ooze. Yeah.
Ideally, yes, but we have learned that even flying over it, if you're within a certain radius of it, it's too powerful.
Is it a very large radius? Have you tried flying a substantial height over it and then trying to dive into the center?
I did. I turned into a giant eagle, flew over. I started off at about 100 feet over, didn't feel too. Then I dove down towards the center and got probably about 50 feet to it before my eagle form just completely bamfed out. All of the life force would just suck right out of it. And I had to evacuate quickly. It was a little touch and go there for a moment.
DM, is there some kind of check that I can make to see if there's an aura giving off? Like, is there any, you know how when it's really, really hot outside, you can see the waves? Like, is there something I can see to see where the boundary starts and stops? Like how high we go up and down and all that?
I'll say because you're trying to see if there's a physical thing there, or potentially a magic thing, but that you can actually see. I'll say make a perception check at disadvantage, 1 for the distance and 1 because it's what you're trying to see is not necessarily tangible.
Okay. That's going to be a 19.
Okay. From this distance, you don't see like a force field barrier by any means, but you do start to see kind of like, as you're really kind of squinting in, at least to where you're closest to the ooze, right? Where you're closest to that like black muck.
Mm-hmm.
See kind of like this grayish vapor almost. and it goes up relatively about to what Helen was saying. It goes up about 50 feet. And then you can kind of see it start sloping up towards that peaked area. Did anyone else want to try to see anything before you got right up to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna ritually cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
And just see if this thing's kicking off any arcane vibes.
Okay. So you, Montavious, you just booked it there before anyone else did?
I started walking. I didn't run there, but yeah, I started walking probably before they started going that way.
Okay. So we'll say you're probably about 15 feet ahead of them.
I'm going to go ahead and say, Montavious, stay behind this. And I'm going to reach in my bag of tricks. I don't know if this is going to work or not, because technically they're not alive. But I'm going to reach into my bag of tricks and pull out. Let me roll a d8.
Oh, these are like constructs, huh?
Yeah, they are not life. If you can't suck them dry, then they can't be live for other reasons.
Yeah, well, Zolan doesn't fully process this, but just in case, it's a potential warning of if we're getting too close. But they pull out a panther, so it's like kind of just like a panther stuffed animal, and they just throw it in front of Montavious.
It's a stuffed Kima.
Yeah.
It's a puma. So,
or at the very least, sorry, if it doesn't get the life sucked out of it, and someone goes unconscious, then something to pull them out.
So, as you reach into the bag of tricks and you pull out a fluffy ball, it hits the ground, kind of rolls, and then you see it kind of start to, as it's rolling, start to kind of bounce on its own, and then start to gallop, and you see this panther just like emerge from the ball, and it is, as you get like from far away, you might think, wow, that's a panther, but as you get closer, you see the like glassy eyes, and the teeth aren't made out of
Coraline panther.
Yeah, it's a Coraline panther.
Yeah, Montavious isn't gonna walk behind it, but he'll walk beside it, just petting it the whole way there.
Yeah, so like its head's in front of you, but you're not at its butt. So as you all start walking, and the champions are behind you all, not like very, very far, but just kind of watching what you do. They have asked you for assistance because they feel out of their depths, and so they're kind of just seeing what you're able to bring to the table, and kind of not like judging you as like, are you better than us, but just kind of gauging what your abilities are, what you can bring to the table, of what they don't have. So they're just kind of being observant and cautious, and they're probably about like, whoever's in the back, they're probably about like 5-10 feet behind that person. So it's not like they're really far back or like anything crazy. They're just kind of giving you guys lead.
Yeah, Montavious looks very not like, oh, I got this, I'm a badass, or I'm scared or anything. He just doesn't look like he cares, has a care in the world right now. Just dip-a-dip-a-doo, petting a fucking fake panther.
Not to like be like the same thing, like see if we're better than them, but Zolan just wants to like kind of look at them and like get an idea of like how powerful they are in comparison to us. Like, are they level 20 or are they lower?
I'll say make an insight check with advantage.
I don't know if the actual characters know the concept of levels.
Right. No, I don't. It would be a different thing. But I mean, you guys are in a place where mechanically you are around other level 20 people all day as like part of your job every day. All the Paragons are level 20 in terms of mechanic. So I would say that because of where you are and what you do primarily in life, you would be able to tell if people are on your level or not.
I rolled a 16
Total?
Yes.
Okay. So as you kind of like are glancing behind you, you kind of look at them up and down, and they notice that you're also sizing them up. And again, it's not coming off as like judgy or bitchy of like, oh, I see. Like, but you know, you guys have never met each other before, and now you're being put in a life or death situation with people that you don't trust because you just met them 10 seconds ago. You know, like it's normal to be like, okay, can we trust them? Is this okay? So they do notice, but they're not offended. As you kind of look them up and down, you kind of get the feeling that they, on their own, may not be perfectly at your level. But with the items they have at their disposal, they are more than capable of keeping up with you.
Okay, so they're not necessarily going to be like a liability.
Right. They can protect themselves. They have valuable assets to bring to the situation. They just aren't, in mechanics terms, they're not level 20. They'd probably be about level like 18 or so. So they're still on par. They're just not like done.
Yeah.
There's still room for improvement.
Correct. There's plenty of room for growth. But the items that they're carrying with them, as you kind of look more intently, and also having more advanced weaponry in your own party, you do notice that as you kind of look at what they have on them, there's this faint essence to each of their weapons. With Corrid, there were the slight glow on his wraps. Lorelei, she has a hammer. And this hammer kind of has it's a war hammer specifically. It just kind of has this feeling to it. It's not something that you can physically see, but it has this feeling of, we're going to be triumphant, we're going to win. It kind of makes you feel more confident the closer you are to Lorelei. And Bellen's staff is this very intricate staff with a glowing moon at the top of it, surrounded by these very curly, like thin branches that almost look like vines. And that just makes you feel healthy. For whatever reason, when you're close enough to him, you feel very healthy and like rejuvenated from it. And the opposite, when you're too close to his level, you feel almost tired and a little almost laser focused. Like, not in necessarily a bad way. The tiredness isn't great, but you feel like you're zoning everything else out and just pinpointed on the end. You're pinpointed on finishing it. And then when you were back with the other two, I already talked about Harbeck's axe had the little swirling vortex that you could see. But none of you actually got too close to Tidal to get any vibe off of his bow. I will say, everyone make a perception check.
Oh, I can get you guys.
28.
Okay.
It's a little upsetting because I keep rolling 10s on things I'm proficient in. So it's like that's all. That's already the minimum I can roll.
Yeah.
34.
Okay.
22.
All right. And Zlava, what was your total? Sorry, not Zlava. This is gonna get my dyslexia real bad. Zolan, what was your total?
Say it 3 times fast.
Look, I named Zwabble way before I knew I was doing this mini chat, alright?
I picked a Z thinking it would be a unique letter.
And it is. That's why I picked Zwabble too. And her last name starts with an A, because I'm unique. But, so everyone except Zolan notices Zlavel, as she gets closer to the bleed, it almost looks like she's talking to herself, and she doesn't seem happy about it.
Everything all right?
Huh? Oh, yes, everything's just fine.
Insight check.
Are you possessed?
I think she's great. She's awesome. That's a 15. I rolled a 5 for my insight.
It is hard to read. No, I'm not possessed.
You have to tell us if you're possessed. That's the rule.
I'm not possessed. I promise. And her husband kind of puts his arm around her. I can vouch she is not possessed. She
That's
is
what
in
a
a
possessed
very
person wouldn't say.
right, but she's just in a very unique situation from the rest of us.
Which is?
If this is putting her in too deep of harm's way,
No, she's not in harm's way. It's
Is Donald her dad?
no. She and I both follow the goddess of life, Khalifa. I am a druid, and she is her cleric. Khalifa could only have one champion, and she chose me. And every other god chose their champion, and the only one that didn't have one was Jarvis, who is the god of death, and he chose Slavel. So she follows a god that has nothing to do with the god she is the champion of. And he has a nasty habit of being a little too in her ear when she's close to the bleed.
I see.
So she's fine. He's just being annoying.
Oh, so like Montavious.
Zolan
I'm gathering.
successfully resists the urge to laugh at the irony of that whole situation.
Yep. As we get closer, Montavious, you do reach it first. And as you get almost right up to it, the panther, basically with the instruction of being the barrier between your party and this substance, just kind of like, not aggressively, but just kind of like walks fully in front of you, kind of like how a cat would wrap around your ankles when you don't want them to. Kind of like that. But it's a big ass panther, so it does so around your midsection.
Yeah, Montavious is gonna say, "It's okay, Barry. I'm not going to touch it."
And it just looks
The
up.
last time, his name's not Barry.
The panther just looks up at Montavious and cocks its head to one side and just kind of like, huh? And then head to the other side. And then
Montavious is going to make sure he doesn't do it where he hits Barry. And he's going to take out his, material blade, have the blade actually come out from the handle, stab the ground, and cast Hallow.
Okay. I have to double check what all that is.
And with my sword, it is an instant cast. Or, not sword, yeah, it is.
Anything pop up from my detect magic?
Yes. Sorry, I forgot that was active. So as you get closer, you're going to make me have to look up types of magic. You cuck. As you get closer, you do see almost this, kind of like that heat wave effect like Bree was talking about earlier, where you see this, wavy mist coming off of the essence or ooze or whatever we want to call it. And it does almost look like a cube. It's not a dome. It's like a flat, it just cuts off at one point where you can kind of see this cube of just destruction. I would say type of magic would be necrotic or necromantic magic, as it is sucking the life out of everything that it touches.
So would Skull be evocation?
I guess. I thought necromancy was a type of magic, is it not? Or is school magic?
No.
Oh. Then sure, evocation. I don't know those things. But yeah, you see it with your detect magic, almost like a dark, lightless void.
Since it's something that can be seen and it's something that can be registered, I would like to try. I'm very convinced that this is probably ridiculously complex.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, I would like to try to dispel the area effect. Maybe not so much its progression, but if you get within 50 feet of it, you're fucked.
Gotcha. Give me just 1 second, because I do know that Hallow does a lot of things, so I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
First.
Gotcha.
Just because it says you have to pick one, put courage as the one he uses.
Okay.
I actually make it daylight. Yeah, do that one.
Okay. Yeah, that one fits a little better. First thing.
We do have a vamp in our party.
Yep,
or a semi-vamp.
It just says bright light fills the area, not actual daylight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
I don't think sunlight affects.
Vampires, no.
Are you, as your race, are you classified as a fiend, or are you classified as undead?
Or elemental, celestial, or fae.
Well, I know he's not any of those.
I'm not seeing anything that classifies. It's creature type. I am a humanoid.
Okay, great. Then that's fine. Where can such creatures charm frame?
I'm not seeing anything that says I'm undead or anything.
Okay, cool. Because then you wouldn't be able to enter this area that he's just created.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can bind an extra effect to the area. And you choose dead. Okay. So, as you cast Hollow through your sword, I'm assuming you're almost right up against it, but not touching it.
Yeah, I'm as close as I can be without touching it.
So, when you stab into the ground just outside of it, since it is a 60-foot radius, the 60 feet behind you, you just kind of look behind you and it's just brighter than it was before. The area in front of you, as you cast this spell, you do see the ooze itself just kind of skirt around the 60-foot radius that you've created. The one that was like where you were standing almost looked like it was like a cat pulling back and like hissing away. Like you heard a visceral like sound of like as it felt like it looked like it was burning at one point. And then just kind of avoids that area.
So I will look at Adrenaline on his way towards me and, hey, it made a weird noise when I cast my spell thing, because I'm very magical, and it's totally not the sword doing it.
Right. As it's sort of making noise and skirting around the effect, does that change anything in my sight to maybe funnel down a more accurate and/or appropriate dispel?
Basically what it looks like is think of what you're seeing with your dispel magic or with your detect magic as basically like a big black cube of jello, and what he's done is taken a perfect scoop out of the side. That's what it looks like to you. So everything else still looks like just pitch black darkness, but there's this like little bubble of bright light in the front now.
Okay. Yeah, I still want to try to hit it with a dispel.
Yeah. So would you like to do so from within the hallowed area that he has created?
Yeah, I'll get it in there a little bit deeper.
Okay. So you walk up to the edge and hold on, let me double check something, because don't you have to touch for dispel magic?
No.
No.
It's got a range. Hang on,
Okay.
I think it's 30-foot range.
Okay.
The spell magic is 120 feet.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I was just checking because I was like, really got to make sure on that part.
Identify is touch.
Right. Correct. So, would you like to cast it 120 feet in, or do you want to cast it on the edge?
I want to cast it on the edge.
Okay. So, are you doing this at base level?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and roll for it if I need to.
Yeah. Okay. So as you go to cast this spell, and you're focusing just on the effect of the life drain aspect of it, go ahead and roll because I guess technically it's not this, but I'm gonna say roll an Arcana check with disadvantage.
Okay. Okay. 23.
Okay, nice. So as you cast your dispel magic, you feel an immense amount of kickback, almost like the magic is flowing from you and something is reaching its way through your magic back to you.
Oh boy.
Go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw for me.
I'll say that sounds like a lot of psychic damage. Wisdom save.
I have a question. Was he casting dispel magic just like on the aura that's like surrounding this, or on the ooze specifically?
On the aura.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wisdom save is going to be a not great. That's a 16.
Okay. So as this basically kind of like interaction is happening, your dispel magic does go off and it is able to succeed in part. As you're watching what's happening, you see the aura lighten. So it's not gone because there are multiple pieces and it is more complex like you originally had suspected. And it's kind of like you're a little distracted by this transference of magic that you don't protect yourself as well as you normally do. And you get this like painful feeling in your chest, and you take Okay, I rolled like shit. You take 6 points of necrotic damage.
6 points.
But because
Hey,
you
6
did
points for a
roll,
wizard, that hurts.
but since you did roll over a 15, that does not reduce your maximum hit points.
Oh, okay.
So, and as you're watching that, you took the hit to the chest almost, and you can still see the effects of your dispel magic taking effect. So you kind of see it lightening in distance order. So this part that is closest to you lightens up first, and then it moves through this cube that you see. To everyone else, you don't see that because it's more of just like a feeling, but you all do feel a little less depressed. You all feel a little less doom and gloom as his dispel magic does take effect.
I still have a lot of questions about this area, but we may have an easier time getting further in, at least for a moment.
Do you have a visible reaction to that damage?
I'd say probably a little one. It wouldn't have been like a oh god, like because it sucked, but it wasn't that bad. So you probably just saw like maybe he rubbed his chest or like a small chest pain reaction, but it wouldn't have been something like excessive.
I got arcane heartburn, bro.
Correct.
Well, Octavius would have been like, "You okay, buddy?"
I'm fine. I might not try that a second time. I feel like that could have been a lot worse. And I'll look back towards the others. Whatever we're here to test, now would be the time.
Okay. So Bellin gets all of you and the rest of his friends around. And he takes his staff from behind his back and he slams it onto the ground. And as he does, you all feel great. As he casts a spell called Cure All. So Adrenaline, you are back up to full hit points.
Hey!
If any of you are have any disease, that disease is cured.
I can't have any diseases.
Correct.
Is that cure vampirism?
Damn
I'm
fears are
technically
born that
not
way.
a vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're born that way.
Vampire like. Let me read you exactly what I wrote because this is a spell that I made.
Fair enough.
Blah, blah, blah. All creatures within 30 feet of the caster are cured of all afflictions, including possessions, and they also heal 70 hit points. This spell then creates a healing orb that is centered around the person in question and can travel with them as long as they are within 60 feet of the staff.
Damn, that's a good spell.
If we're already at max, do we still get that 7 or like as a temporary, or is it just to max?
You know what? Because it's an exalted item, sure, why not? Everyone gets 70 temp hit points.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, I misheard you.
70 or
You said 7D. I
7-0.
I thought you said 7.
Yeah, so Adrenaline, yours would be minus the 6. So you would have 64 temporary hit points.
10-4.
You did heal.
Can you do 10 HP on here?
Yeah, on the 5e character sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tap your HP, and at the far right it should say temp HP.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, and then it'll be a different color.
And you
Yeah,
said
it'll be blue. 7-0.
Correct.
Heck yeah.
I am a kind and benevolent god.
Zolan just looks like kind of shocked and just goes, "And how long does this last?"
I believe it lasts for an hour. So we have, I would say maybe we well, if we go in and it immediately starts hurting, run out. But if we can, maybe travel 30 minutes in and then 30 minutes back out, just so we don't get stuck somewhere.
As soon as he said, if we go in and it hurts, we go back out. Once he says out, Montavious goes inside the bleed.
Okay. So, as soon as you step out of your Hallow spell and you step into it, you do see the ooze kind of try to get to you. Now, these bubbles are encasing your entire body. And as the thicker ooze, whatever you want to call it, gets close enough to your bubble, it kind of like touches inside and then burns away. Almost like the healing that it is providing you is more than the life-sucking it can take. Oh, God.
So I say, yeah, seems like we're good.
So,
Yeah,
do the rest of you start traversing?
Yeah, I'm going to start walking in the direction I think we're supposed to walk in.
Okay. So you start making your way towards the center, which is basically just straight ahead of you. As you continue forward, you do see movement within the ooze. Like, you see it is constantly kind of like rolling over itself and kind of just making you sick almost. And it's like kind of making you a little motion sickness kind of like effect because you're inside it. Keep reading the messages. I can't. And as you're walking through it, you see additional movement. And with all of your relatively high passive perceptions, you start to see like bones popping up and then falling back in, and then like something stand up and then go back in. Almost like most of this ooze is actually the part of undead creatures just kind of milling about on top of each other.
So does it look like they're trying to get out and the ooze is keeping them there like dinosaur in a tar pit? Or does it look like the ooze is just constantly turning and they just keep, like, whenever you stir and something pops up?
More the first one. It seems like they're trying to get out because they sense you. They're trying to get to the living things. And the ooze just kind of like pushes them back in and then moves them somewhere else.
Gross.
Zolan can't heal, but Zolan's gonna look at someone who can and just say, do you want to see if they can be saved?
Zlogl looks at the bodies that are kind of rolling, looks back at you, and with like the sweetest look on her face and with those big, beautiful purple eyes, just looks at you and goes, I wish I could, but it would take a lot of resources that we really need to hold on to in case something happens to one of us. If it's possible for them to be saved, anything that I could do right this second isn't enough.
Solving the bigger problem may be the solution for them anyways.
I hope so.
And the Drellin will keep pushing further in.
And you do see that as having this conversation, Zlogl is very affected by seeing all these dead bodies and not being able to help any of them. As you make your way closer in, you are able to get I'd say you're hitting about the 20-minute mark. And so you got about 10 more minutes until you have to start backtracking out. Seeing that peak as you are a little bit closer and you're more in the ooze, you do see that peak is more like a volcano than you originally thought, that something is coming out of that area. So whatever is in that peak, in that mountain that occurred out of nowhere, is probably what is causing this ooze to occur. And as you're getting closer to where you know you need to turn around, you start to feel the ooze thin around just where you are. And as you look around you, you see that the champions are behind you, but a lot further behind you than they should be. You didn't hear them leave you, but there is now this distance between your party and their party. And as you look at them and they look at you, you can see like this what just happened kind of look on their faces, as you are on the very edge of that 60 feet from Bellin.
And no.
As you stand there, kind of trying to figure out what to do next and how to get out of this or how to backtrack back, you all hear in your mind, well, I wasn't expecting guests. This got a lot more interesting. And as you hear that last word, interesting, you are all almost slammed into the other party and pushed the 30-minute worth walk out back to the hollowed area. Like you are thrown, like someone just balled all 8 of you up and threw you back out of the ooze. And you tumble down to the ground. And as you're sitting there kind of looking at each other like, what just happened? That is where we'll call it for tonight.
Guys, we just got straight up ejected.
But from the way it sounds, he had no power here. In the hollowed area, I mean.
Yeah. Zolan is visibly pissed.
We walked our happy asses all the way down here.
We made progress and then was immediately just flicked out of the bowl.
But you did learn that Bellin's ability on his staff does keep the ooze from killing you.
And Hallow does work.
Correct.
And Dispel helps a little bit.
You learn valuable information.
Indeed.
I know teleportation is really useful and everything, but it kind of, like, there are moments where Zolan is just like, I wish I could do more cool stuff. I can't.
My cool thing that I can do is very situational.
Correct.
I mean, it's a really good thing that I can't poke things because that means that I don't go and poke things, but...
Yeah, if you really like boil down, you're kind of our ride home.
Yeah.
So if you go poke things and then end up, meeting this upsetting god of death firsthand, then we're all kind of fucked.
Yeah, Zolan is kind of the group taxi.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I don't remember. So, never mind.
I will say, too, Zolan's also a hotel.
This is true.
Question mark?
I do want to say that I did my math wrong.
What about doing math wrong?
Did you do your health wrong?
Yeah, it should be 159 instead of 119.
Oh, that makes more
Did you
sense.
forget to add con?
The con, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot
Has
to
to
add
be.
con.
That changes a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yup.
you. If you hadn't said, well, plus my con of blah, 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 I was like, wait a minute. And I scrolled back up to where I rolled it. And I was like, oh. But I rolled like almost all twos for my, like, one out of all of it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them are twos. And then I have
Jesus.
1, 2, 3 ones.
That's 8 levels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost half.
Yeah,
Is-
almost half is below. Yeah, is below half.
Yeah, I had like 2 rolls below 5.
Yeah. So my base is 159, not 119.
That changes a lot. So now you are over 200 hit points with the 70 temp.
Yay!
Whenever I DM, I'm really generous with character creation because it's fun to have fun player stuff, but also it means I can throw more stuff. And
Correct.
one of the things I say is reroll 1s and 2s because nothing's worse than rolling a 1. But when you reroll 1s, the only thing worse than rolling a 1 is rolling a 2.
Yeah, and normally when we're like at the table and this is like a campaign, I also do that. But you guys all came with already done characters, and I wasn't gonna be like re-roll all your health 'cause that would take forever.
What you think you're beefy now? Reroll it all. Start from scratch. And roll again if you get max HP.
But then there's also the potential to roll worse because like you can still get a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, but yeah, but like, if 1s and 2s is enough, I think, because like,
Yeah.
if you then do 3s, then like wizards, that's like you're rolling above average each time.
Yeah. No, I never go above 3, but I'm saying like if you had rolled above 5 every time, like Dan said he did, and then I told you to re-roll it all and he rolled all 3s, then his health would technically be worse than what he walked in with. And that's not fair either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hey, HP is gonna be funky anyway because we're all about to lose a lot of it. So,
It will be interesting.
indeed.
Okay.
Let's
Well,
end.
good night, and thank you for joining us.
Good night.
Bye.